Imagine finding a 1967 Lincoln penny in your change and discovering that one tiny detail could turn an ordinary cent into a life-changing treasure. But before you start dreaming about $1 million payday, there is something you absolutely need to know. That little phrase, "no mint mark," sounds exciting, yet on a 1967 Lincoln cent, it is actually normal. The real mystery is what else might be hiding on the coin. If you have a 1967 Lincoln penny, stay with me because we are going to separate the internet hype from the facts, uncover the details collectors actually care about, and find out whether your old penny could be worth more than 1 cent. And near the end, I'll show you the kind of unusual features that can make a common-looking coin suddenly become much more interesting. First, take your penny and look directly under the date. See that empty space? No letter, no D, no S. That is the missing mint mark people often point to when claiming that a 1967 penny is rare. Here is the surprise. Philadelphia produced 1967 cents without mint marks, and the United States Mint deliberately did this during the era when mint marks were suspended on circulating coins. The reason takes us back to the 1960s, when the nation faced a serious coin shortage. People were holding coins, businesses struggled to get enough change, and the mint was under pressure to produce enormous quantities. Mint marks were suspended on circulating coins, so the blank space is part of the design history, not automatically an error. A normal 1967 Lincoln cent without a mint mark is not secretly $1 million coin simply because the mint mark is missing. In fact, millions were made. Most examples are worth around face value in circulated condition, although better preserved pieces can bring more from collectors. But wait, that does not mean you should throw your 1967 penny back into the jar. This is where the story gets interesting. Condition matters. A lot. Imagine two 1967 pennies sitting side by side. One has been riding through pockets, vending machines, drawers, and coin jars for nearly 60 years. Its surfaces are scratched, its color is dark, and the design is worn. The other looks like it barely left the mint. Lincoln's hair has sharp detail. The lettering is crisp. The fields are clean. The original reddish copper color may still glow across the surface. Those two coins can have dramatically different collector appeal. Now look closer. On the front, inspect Lincoln's portrait. Check the date. Examine Liberty. Then move your eyes across "I in God We Trust." You are looking for unusual doubling, strange shapes, cracks, or other evidence that something happened during production. But here is another important warning. Not every odd-looking line is an error. A scratch can look like doubling. A dent can look like a die problem. Damage from a machine can create shapes that seem mysterious under a phone camera. Even discoloration can make a coin appear unusual. So if someone tells you, your 1967 penny has no mint mark, therefore it is worth $1 million, slow down. That is not how coin values work. The most important question is not simply, is there a mint mark? The better question is, what makes this particular coin different from millions of other 1967 cents? That distinction can save you from disappointment and missed opportunities, too. Now let's talk about the $1 million claim. You may have seen online posts suggesting that a 1967 no-mint Lincoln penny can be worth hundreds of thousands or even $1 million. Those headlines create an instant fantasy. An old coin sitting unnoticed in a drawer, waiting to pay off a mortgage. But extraordinary prices require extraordinary evidence. A genuine $1 million sale would normally involve a truly exceptional rarity, authentication, documented auction history, and intense competition. A standard 1967 cent does not meet that description merely because it lacks a mint letter. So do not panic and do not assume you have hit the jackpot. Instead, become a detective. Start with the date. Is it definitely 1967? Make sure the numbers are original and not altered. Next, inspect the surfaces under good lighting. A simple magnifying glass can reveal details your eyes miss. Look around Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, the rim, and the fields. Search for unusual doubling or dramatic mint-made errors. Then check the color. Copper cents can develop different appearances over time. A bright red coin that retains much of its original color can be more desirable than a heavily worn brown example. Collectors often use color designations when evaluating copper cents, so preservation matters. Now flip the coin. On the reverse, study the Lincoln Memorial. Look at the columns, lettering, rim, and spaces between design elements. You are searching for abnormalities that appear to have been created during minting rather than after the coin entered circulation. And here is the pattern interrupt. If you find something strange, do not clean it. Seriously. Do not polish it. Do not scrub it. Do not use chemicals, toothpaste, metal cleaner, or any homemade trick designed to make the penny shine. Cleaning can permanently damage a coin and reduce its collector value. There is another mistake people make all the time. They compare their coin to a sensational online price without checking the coin's grade, authenticity, or actual sale history. A listing is not the same thing as a sale. Someone can list an ordinary penny for $1 million. That does not mean anyone is willing to pay $1 million for it. Collectors care about what comparable coins actually sell for, especially when the sale is recorded by a reputable auction house or grading service. So what should you do if your 1967 penny looks unusually sharp? You have several options. Compare it with reputable references or visit a respected coin dealer. If it appears to have a major error or exceptional condition, professional authentication and grading may be worth considering. But remember, grading costs money. Now comes the question everyone has been waiting for. How much is a 1967 Lincoln penny with no mint mark actually worth? For a typical circulated example, the answer may be surprisingly simple. Around 1 cent, sometimes modestly more depending on condition and collector demand. A common, worn 1967 cent is not a secret $1 million coin. This detail matters enormously. But high-grade examples, attractive red specimens, and genuine mint errors can be much more interesting. The exact value depends on the specific coin, its condition, rarity, and whether the unusual feature can be authenticated. And that is the real treasure hunt. You are not looking for a magical date that automatically makes every coin rich. You are looking for the one coin that breaks the pattern. Think about it. Millions of ordinary coins can exist, but a dramatic mint error, an exceptionally preserved specimen, or a legitimately rare variety can stand apart from the crowd. That is what creates serious collector interest. So grab your change jar. Look through the old pennies your family may have saved. Check inherited collections. Search those forgotten envelopes and small boxes in drawers. And when you find a 1967 Lincoln cent, do not throw it away simply because the mint mark is missing. Instead, ask yourself 3 questions. Is the coin unusually well preserved? Does it show a genuine mint-made error or variety? And can that feature be verified by a trusted expert or established reference? If the answer to any of those questions is yes, you may have something worth investigating. And if your coin is ordinary, that is okay too. You have just learned something that many people get wrong. The missing mint mark on a 1967 Lincoln cent is not, by itself, a $1 million error. That lesson is incredibly important because the world of rare coins is full of exciting possibilities, but it is also full of exaggerated claims. The smartest collectors do not chase every headline. They learn what to look for. They examine the evidence. And they know the difference between an unusual coin and an extraordinary one. So, before you spend that old 1967 penny, take another look. Turn it under a bright light. Check Lincoln's portrait. Study the lettering. Inspect the reverse. Look for real mint-made abnormalities and, most importantly, never clean it. Because while the missing mint mark alone probably will not make you rich, the right coin in the right condition with the right authenticated error can tell a very different story. Now I want to know, do you have a 1967 Lincoln penny sitting somewhere right now? Check it before you forget. And if you discover something unusual, take clear photos, compare reliable references, and get professional opinions before believing any huge price claim. Your next old penny might not be worth $1 million. But the only way to know whether it has hidden value is to look closely. And sometimes that is exactly where the real treasure begins. What if a penny you could find in an old jar, drawer, or coffee can was connected to $1 million story? Before you spend that 1981 Lincoln penny, look at it closely because one tiny detail can completely change what you are holding. And here is the part most people miss. The words "no mint mark" do not automatically mean rare. If you have a 1981 Lincoln cent, stay with me because we are going to separate the real value from the internet hype, uncover the details collectors actually care about, and explain what could make an ordinary-looking penny worth far more than 1 cent. By the end, you will know exactly where to look, what mistakes to avoid, and whether your 1981 penny deserves a second look. The 1981 Lincoln cent is familiar to millions of Americans. It carries Abraham Lincoln on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back, and, depending on where it was made, a tiny mint mark beneath the date. Coins struck at Philadelphia traditionally carry no mint mark, while Denver coins have a D, and San Francisco proof coins have an S. That means a 1981 penny with no mint mark is not automatically an error. In fact, the no mint mark version was normally made at Philadelphia. That single fact is important because many online videos make a simple statement sound like a treasure map. No mint mark equals rare. It doesn't. But don't put your penny away yet. There is another reason collectors examine these coins carefully. Condition matters. A heavily worn 1981 cent is usually worth little more than its face value, while a sharply preserved coin with original color, strong details, and very high certified grade can attract much more attention. Now imagine two pennies sitting side by side. Both say 1981 and have no mint mark. One has been in circulation for decades, with scratches and wear. The other looks almost untouched, with crisp details and few marks. They may look identical to a casual observer, but a serious collector sees two different opportunities. And here's the first big mistake people make. Cleaning. If you find an old penny that looks dark, dirty, or stained, do not grab a polishing cloth, chemical cleaner, or abrasive. Cleaning can leave scratches, remove original surfaces, or create an unnatural appearance. A coin that might have had collector appeal can become damaged and harder to sell. So what should you do instead? Handle it by the edges. Put it under good light. Compare it with another 1981 cent. Look at the date, lettering, rim, portrait, and reverse. Then check for unusual features that might indicate a genuine mint error or variety. And this is where the story gets more interesting. A real mint error is different from damage that happened after the coin left the mint. A coin struck off center, for example, can show a dramatic area of blank metal and a visibly displaced design. A doubled feature can sometimes indicate a legitimate doubled die, but not every blurry or doubled-looking letter is valuable. Machine doubling, scratches, dents, and post-mint damage can fool beginners. That is why a photograph alone can be misleading. Now let's talk about the million-dollar claim. You may have seen headlines suggesting that a 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is worth $1 million. It is an incredible number, and it is exactly the kind of number that makes people stop scrolling. But there is a critical distinction between a sensational claim and a documented auction record. A normal 1981 Philadelphia cent is not $1 million coin simply because it has no mint mark. There is no sound reason to treat every 1981 no mint mark penny as a hidden $1 million fortune. So why does the $1 million number keep appearing? Because rare coin content often mixes extraordinary coins, speculative valuations, and unrelated auction records into one dramatic story. A famous coin from a different date, a spectacular mint error, or an exceptionally rare variety can sell for an astonishing amount, and then the headline gets attached to an ordinary date. That is where collectors need to slow down. The real question is not, does my penny say 1981? The real question is, what exactly is unusual about my penny, and can that unusual feature be verified? That shift in thinking can save you from disappointment. Now look closely at the mint mark area. On a genuine 1981 Philadelphia cent, you should expect no mint mark. That is normal. If your coin has a D, it was struck in Denver. If it has an S and appears to be a proof, you are looking at a different category of coin entirely. And there is another pattern interrupt you should remember. Condition can be more important than age. People often assume an older coin must be valuable. But millions of Lincoln cents survive from many dates, and age alone does not create rarity. Collectors pay for scarcity, condition, demand, eye appeal, and unusual characteristics. So where could serious value enter the picture? Imagine a 1981 cent with an authentic, dramatic mint error. Suppose part of the design is missing because the blank planchet was not properly centered during striking. Or imagine a confirmed die variety that specialists recognize and collectors actively pursue. Now you have something different from an ordinary Philadelphia cent. But even then, the value has to be established carefully. A genuine error should be examined by someone who understands minting processes. For an important coin, professional certification can also provide authentication, a grade, and a standardized description. That can make a major difference when buyers are deciding what a coin is worth. And here is the suspenseful part. You do not need a microscope to begin. Start with your eyes. Check whether the coin has unusual shape, missing design, strange lettering, or a clearly misplaced strike. Look at the rim. Compare both sides. Rotate the coin under the light. If something looks dramatically different from normal examples, photograph it before doing anything else. Do not scrape it. Do not clean it. Do not drill it into a holder. And definitely do not assume a random online price is an appraisal. Now, what could an ordinary 1981 no-mint mark penny actually be worth? In circulated condition, usually very little. A typical example may simply be worth its 1 cent face value, although collector-grade pieces, attractive uncirculated examples, and verified varieties can bring premiums depending on condition and market demand. That may sound less exciting than $1 million, but it is more useful information. And that is where patience matters most. Valuable coins are identified by evidence, not excitement, rumors, or viral price tags. Because the real treasure hunt is not about believing every huge number. It is about knowing what to look for. And there is one more detail that can change the conversation. Certification. A coin that looks perfect to the naked eye may have tiny marks that prevent it from receiving an elite grade. At the highest levels of collecting, a single grade point can dramatically affect desirability and price. Professional grading companies examine factors such as strike, luster, surface preservation, color, and overall condition. So if your 1981 penny looks unusually pristine, do not automatically sell it for a few dollars. First, compare it with certified examples and consider whether professional evaluation makes sense. Now picture the moment someone opens an inherited collection and finds a row of ordinary pennies. Most are tossed aside. One looks different. The owner notices an unusual strike, takes clear photographs, and asks a knowledgeable numismatist. That is how a real discovery begins. Not with a headline, with a question. Could your 1981 penny contain something unusual? If you have one nearby, pull it out right now. Look beneath Lincoln's date. If there is no mint mark, remember, that is normal for Philadelphia. Then inspect the rest of the coin for genuine errors or varieties. Compare it with another 1981 cent. If you see something that truly looks different, get a second opinion before spending or cleaning it. And here's the $1 million lesson. Never let a huge price tag replace verification. The 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is interesting, but the absence of a mint mark by itself does not make it a $1 million coin. The potentially valuable story is hidden in the details. Exceptional condition, authentic mint errors, recognized varieties, and documented collector demand. So before you throw that old penny into a jar, spend it, or clean it until it shines, take 10 seconds and inspect it. You might discover nothing unusual, but if you discover something genuine, you will be very glad you looked. And that is the real secret of coin hunting. The most exciting discoveries often begin with an ordinary coin that nobody bothered to examine. If you have a 1981 penny, tell me what you see on yours. No mint mark? A D? An S? Any strange lettering or unusual strike? Leave your discovery in the comments, and keep checking those old coins. Because the next overlooked piece of history could already be sitting in your pocket. Subscribe for more hidden coin values, rare mint errors, and the stories behind America's most fascinating pocket change. Imagine finding a 1984 Lincoln penny in your change and discovering that the tiny coin you almost ignored could be connected to a $1 million story. Before you grab a magnifying glass, though, there is a catch that could save you from a huge mistake. The famous 1984 penny worth $1 million claim needs to be separated from what collectors can actually prove. If you have a 1984 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, do not spend it yet. In the next few minutes, you will learn what the missing letter really means, which errors can transform an ordinary cent into a serious collectible, what condition matters most, and why some internet claims about this date can be wildly misleading. Start with the date, 1984. Flip the coin to the front and look below Lincoln's portrait, near the bottom right area. If you see no mint mark, that does not automatically mean you found a rare error. In 1984, pennies struck at the Philadelphia Mint normally carried no mint mark. That means millions of legitimate 1984 Philadelphia cents exist without a letter. And here is the first mystery. If no mint mark is normal, why do collectors still pay attention to some 1984 pennies? Because the date alone is only the beginning. A coin can be common in its normal form and still become valuable when something unusual happened during production. Collectors call these varieties, errors, or mint state condition coins. The difference can be enormous. One penny may be worth face value, while another example with a dramatic, authenticated mint error could attract collector interest. But there is an important warning. A coin does not become valuable simply because somebody online places a giant price beside a photograph. A claimed value is not the same thing as a documented sale. You may have seen claims that a 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is worth huge amounts. Those numbers sound incredible. Ask yourself one question. Where is the evidence? A legitimate record should connect a specific coin to an identifiable auction, grading service, or documented transaction. Without that evidence, a $1 million headline is just a claim. But that does not mean your 1984 penny is worthless. Far from it. Start when you inspect the coin closely. First, check the date. Make sure it actually says 1984. Worn coins can be surprisingly difficult to read, and altered dates do exist. Next, inspect the mint mark area. If there is no letter, remember that Philadelphia coins from this period were supposed to look that way. Do not mistake normal Philadelphia production for a missing mint mark error. Now turn your attention to Lincoln's portrait. Look at the lettering. Look around the rim. Study the surface. You are searching for something that looks genuinely different from ordinary wear. Damage is not the same as a mint error. A coin dropped on a sidewalk can develop scratches, dents, flattening, or strange-looking marks. Those features may look dramatic under a flashlight, but they usually happened after the coin left the mint. Collectors generally distinguish post-mint damage from errors created during manufacturing. So what kinds of things deserve attention? Major mint errors can include dramatic off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, doubled features, wrong planchets, or other unusual production mistakes. But each category has details that must be verified. A random scratch across Lincoln's face is not automatically a valuable error. Neither is a shiny surface, unusual color, or a damaged edge. And then there is condition. This is where many people underestimate the difference between an ordinary penny and a premium example. A 1984 cent that circulated for decades may have scratches, contact marks, discoloration, and worn details. A sharply preserved example with strong original surfaces can be much more interesting to collectors, especially when certified by a respected grading service. But do not polish it. This is one of the biggest mistakes a new collector can make. That old penny may look dirty or dull, and your first instinct might be to make it shine. Resist that urge. Cleaning can leave scratches, remove original surfaces, and reduce collector appeal. A coin that looks better to your eyes can become less desirable in the marketplace. Now let's talk about the metal. The 1984 Lincoln cent is a copper-plated zinc coin. That is a major clue when you are evaluating unusual examples. If you find a coin that appears to have a strange composition, an unusual weight, or a dramatically different appearance, do not immediately assume you have discovered a $1 million rarity. Weighing and professional examination can help determine whether the difference is genuine or simply damage, environmental exposure, or alteration. Color alone proves almost nothing. A penny can turn dark brown, reddish brown, orange, or even strange shades because of its environment. Chemicals, moisture, heat, cleaning, and storage conditions can all affect appearance. Collectors care about authentic surfaces, not simply a color that looks unusual in a photograph. So when could a 1984 penny become truly interesting? Imagine finding one with a dramatic off-center strike, clear evidence that part of the design was struck outside the normal position, while the coin remains unusually well preserved. That is a completely different conversation from a normal no-mint mark cent. Now imagine discovering a genuine wrong planchet error, where the coin was struck on metal intended for another denomination or issue. Suddenly, the humble penny becomes a manufacturing mystery. That is the story collectors love. Not 1984 equals $1 million. Instead, it is what happened to this particular coin at the mint? That question changes everything. And there is another reason to inspect your coins carefully. Mistakes can hide in plain sight. A dramatic error may be obvious once you know what to look for, but subtle varieties can require comparison with a known normal example. Sometimes the best tool is not a fancy machine. It is simply a second coin placed beside the first. Compare the lettering. Compare the date. Compare the spacing. Compare the rim. If something looks different, photograph it clearly and get a second opinion before spending money on a supposed rarity. Now comes the value question everyone has been waiting for. How much is a 1984 Lincoln penny with no mint mark actually worth? For a normal circulated Philadelphia example, the answer is generally close to face value. Millions were produced, and the absence of a mint mark is normal. Even attractive uncirculated examples do not automatically become six-figure or million-dollar coins. The million-dollar figure should therefore be treated as an unverified internet claim unless a specific, authenticated 1984 cent has a documented sale proving that amount. The exciting part is this. The absence of a million-dollar jackpot does not make your search pointless. It makes the search smarter. Rare coin collecting is not about believing every headline. It is about finding the one detail that separates ordinary from extraordinary. So take out your jar of pennies. Check the 1984 coins. Do you have a no mint mark example? If so, remember, that feature by itself is normal. Next, inspect the coin for major mint errors, unusual planchet characteristics, exceptional preservation, and anything that clearly differs from standard examples. Use a good light. Avoid cleaning. Take sharp photographs. And if you think you have something unusual, consider professional authentication before accepting a dramatic value estimate from a random website, social media post, or online marketplace. Find the exact error. Find comparable certified coins. Find documented auction results. Then decide. And if you have a 1984 penny that looks completely ordinary, do not throw it away just because it is not a million-dollar coin. Collecting history has value beyond price. But perhaps your coin is not ordinary. Maybe the strike is dramatically off-center. Maybe the planchet looks wrong. Maybe the coin has a feature you cannot explain. Maybe you have discovered something that deserves a closer look. That is the moment to stop guessing. The next step is verification. Remember the golden rule of coin collecting. Condition, rarity, authenticity, and documented market demand matter far more than a sensational number printed beside a photograph. So before you spend that 1984 Lincoln cent, check it one more time. Look at the date. Look at the mint mark area. Study Lincoln. Inspect the rim. Check for real mint errors. And never confuse a normal no mint mark Philadelphia cent with a rare missing mint mark error. If your coin passes those tests, you may have a reason to investigate further. And if it does not, you still learned something valuable. Not every old-looking penny is rare, but every unusual penny deserves a careful look. Now I want to know what is hiding in your collection. Do you have a 1984 Lincoln penny with no mint mark? And does yours show any unusual feature that we talked about? Take a close look before you answer. Because sometimes the most valuable discovery is not the coin everyone online says is worth $1 million. It is the coin you almost ignored. Check your change. Check the old jars. Check the family collection. And if you enjoy uncovering the real stories behind America's most mysterious coins, subscribe for more. Your next ordinary penny might have an extraordinary story waiting to be discovered. What if that ordinary 1994 Lincoln penny sitting in your drawer is the coin you almost spent without a second thought? Some online claims call a 1994 no mint mark penny $1 million treasure. But before you start celebrating, there is a much more interesting truth you need to know. Because the real secret is not simply the missing letter under the date. It is what that missing letter tells you, what tiny details appear on the coin, and how condition can completely change the story. The 1994 Lincoln cent looks about as ordinary as money gets. Lincoln faces right on the front, the date reads 1994, and beneath the date there may be no mint mark at all. That can sound suspicious if you have heard that rare pennies with no mint mark are worth fortunes. Here is where the mystery begins. In 1994, the Philadelphia Mint struck more than 6.5 billion Lincoln cents, and Philadelphia cents normally carried no mint mark. So, if your 1994 penny has no letter beneath the date, that does not automatically mean the mint made a mistake. In fact, for this particular year, no mint mark is normal. And that is the first trap. Imagine finding one in an old coffee can. You turn it over, see 1994, notice there is no D or S, and immediately think, jackpot. You search online and find somebody asking $1 million. Your heart jumps. But an asking price is not the same thing as a documented sale. A coin can be listed for almost any number. What matters is what collectors actually pay for a verified coin. So what should you look for? Start with the date. Make sure it really says 1994. Then look below Lincoln's portrait. If there is no mint mark, that points to Philadelphia. Do not confuse a weak mark, damage, or dirt with a special minting error. Now flip the penny over. This is where many casual searches stop, but serious collectors keep going. Study the lettering on the reverse, especially the word America and the letters in AM. Certain Lincoln cent years have famous close AM and wide AM varieties, but you should not automatically assume that every 1994 Philadelphia cent with a particular AM spacing is rare. The date, mint, reverse design, die characteristics, and certification all matter. Here is another pattern interrupt. The most valuable thing about your 1994 penny may not be an obvious error at all. Could be the condition. Think about what happens to a penny after 30 years in circulation. It gets dropped on sidewalks, tossed into cup holders, rattled inside cash registers, exposed to moisture, and scraped against other coins. The copper-colored surface becomes darker. The rims collect marks, and tiny scratches appear across Lincoln's portrait. But imagine a 1994 cent that somehow avoided almost all of that. Sharp details, bright original red color, clean surfaces, no distracting marks, strong strike, almost untouched. Now you are talking about a condition rarity. That distinction is crucial because billions of ordinary coins can exist while only a tiny number survive in extraordinary condition. Modern Lincoln cents are often judged by professional grading services on a scale that can reach the highest mint state levels. At the top, even a small mark can separate a merely beautiful coin from an exceptionally scarce one. And this is where the numbers become surprising. A normal circulated 1994 no-mint mark penny is generally worth about 1 cent. An attractive uncirculated example may bring more, but usually not life-changing money. Exceptional certified examples can command hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on grade, color, variety, and market demand. So where does the $1 million claim come from? This is the part you should never skip. There is no solid evidence that a normal 1994 Philadelphia Lincoln cent with no mint mark is a $1 million coin. The no mint mark feature itself is not rare for this date. A headline saying 1994 penny worth $1 million can create excitement, but it does not transform a common cent into a $1 million rarity. However, that does not mean you should throw yours back into the change jar, because errors can change everything. A genuine mint error is different from damage that happened after the coin left the mint. Look for unusual doubling, dramatic off-center strikes, missing design elements, abnormal shapes, or other manufacturing anomalies. But be careful. Machine doubling, scratches, dents, polishing, and environmental damage can look strange without adding meaningful value. And here is the mistake that costs collectors money. Cleaning the coin. If your 1994 penny looks old, resist the urge to make it shiny. Do not scrub it with toothpaste. Do not soak it in household chemicals. Do not polish it with a cloth. Cleaning can permanently damage the surface and destroy collector value. A professional would much rather see an original, naturally aged coin than a damaged coin that was aggressively improved. Now take a close look at the color. Lincoln cents from this era are copper-plated zinc coins, not the solid bronze cents many people associate with older pennies. The 1994 cent contains a zinc core with a thin copper layer. That means serious damage to the plating can reveal a different-looking surface underneath. Again, unusual appearance does not automatically mean rarity. The next question is one every viewer should ask. How do you know whether your coin deserves professional attention? First, compare it with several normal 1994 Philadelphia cents. If yours looks dramatically different, photograph both sides in good lighting. Then use a magnifier to inspect the date, lettering, Lincoln's portrait, and reverse details. If you see strong, unusual doubling or a major minting anomaly, do not clean or alter it. Consider having the coin examined by a reputable dealer or grading service. And there is one more thing people overlook: provenance. If a coin has a documented history, previous certification, or a credible auction record, that information can matter. A random internet listing saying "rare $1,000,000 penny" does not establish value. A professionally authenticated coin with a verifiable sale is a completely different story. So, what could your 1994 no-mint mark penny actually be worth? For most examples, think 1 cent to a modest premium. Better uncirculated pieces can be worth more. Superb certified specimens can reach into the hundreds or potentially thousands, depending on the exact grade and characteristics. Documented auction results for exceptional 1994 cents show that high-grade examples can become surprisingly valuable, even without a dramatic error. But $1,000,000? That is a claim that should make you stop and investigate, not immediately believe. And that may actually be the most valuable lesson of this entire coin. Rare coin collecting is not about believing every giant number attached to a photograph. It is about learning how to separate ordinary from unusual, damaged from mint-made, listed prices from realized prices, and attractive coins from genuinely scarce coins. And remember, rarity is a combination, not a magic word. Date alone is not enough. No mint mark alone is not enough. Even an unusual-looking surface is not enough. The strongest discoveries come when several pieces of evidence point in the same direction. Correct date, correct mint, authentic variety or error, exceptional preservation, and independent verification. That is how a collector turns a hopeful guess into a credible discovery worth investigating carefully. Careful checking beats sensational headlines about coins online every time. So go find your change jar. Check the 1994 pennies. Look under the date. No D? That can be completely normal. Turn the coin over. Inspect the lettering. Check the surfaces. Look for real minting anomalies. Compare the coin with another 1994 cent. And whatever you do, do not clean it. You might not discover a $1,000,000 penny, but you could discover something far more realistic. A coin worth much more than 1 cent, hiding in plain sight because almost everyone else ignored it. And if your 1994 penny has an unusual error, an exceptional grade, or a feature you cannot explain, that is when the story gets really interesting. Because the difference between pocket change and a collectible can sometimes be incredibly small. Maybe it is a tiny detail on the reverse. Maybe it is a nearly perfect surface. Maybe it is an authentic mint error. Or maybe it is simply a reminder that the coins we stop noticing can still surprise us. So before you spend that 1994 Lincoln cent, give it 10 seconds. Look at the date. Look beneath Lincoln. Flip it over. And look again. Because the real treasure is not the $1,000,000 headline. The real treasure is knowing exactly what you are holding. If you enjoy uncovering the hidden stories and genuine value behind everyday American coins, keep checking those jars, rolls, drawers, and old collections. And subscribe for more coin mysteries, valuable varieties, and overlooked pieces of American history. That ordinary penny may not make you rich, but the next one you find just might be the coin that makes you stop.